slow jams, conversation, late night, stimulation, call in, love session, Monday night. Good evening, everyone. You are tuned in to U-Nation Radio. We are here at Morris Media Live Studios, and I'm your girl, Akila Trinae, and yes, I am back. I was gone for 2 weeks, and I know that they missed me so dearly. I watched, but I'm really glad to be back in the building. You're tuned into Love Sessions every Monday night from 10 p.m. to midnight. We talk about various situations that deal with relationships. We call it intellectual stimulation. Why do we talk about relationships? Because honestly, it's a struggle, right? Yeah. I know because I just got married. And so therefore, it's always good to be able to talk and be able to communicate, because that's what most people say, communication is key, right? But they don't necessarily tell you exactly how to do that. So we like to talk about topics that we feel are real relevant and refreshing. So we all echo the same sentiment, you guys. We need love. So you're tuned into the right place at the right time with the right people. Class is now in session. So what I'm going to do is I am going to kick it.
Headphones down.
Yeah, because I'm loud in the building. I'm going to kick it to Mr. Charles Handy to please do us very good justice of
that was
sponsors.
Good. That was a good rendition. I did.
You like that, huh?
I did a couple. Like, mixed it up.
I kind of did a couple of remixes myself on that.
I know. All you got to do is just make it your own. That's all I want you to do.
Own it.
Embody it. Feel it.
So yeah. This section, we got to pay some bills up in this mug. So basically, I'm gonna tell y'all that. Check out for one, you gotta check out Revision Publishing. That's like one of the first sponsors of the Love Sessions, right? That was like from Oakland, publishing company from out of Oakland.
It's my publishing company, thank you.
Isn't it out of Oakland though?
Well, I mean, I created in Inglewood, but Oakland is all love, all day. I had
Oakland on the screen, so whatever.
Right, exactly, straight out of Oakland.
Anywho, and then the next one I like to say is Uzuri. So, dear Uzuri, Zuri means beauty in Swahili, and the movement is about the Zuri movement is about encouraging women to properly heal from internalized pain and practice healthy communication. Once again, healthy communication, that's what we're all about. And so if you want to find out anything more about that, you can go to the IG account, which is Dear Uzuri, and I just want to spell it just in case y'all don't know how to spell the name. It's Uzuri. So Dear, Dear DER.
Like you're writing a letter.
Yeah, like you're writing a letter, Dear. Yeah. And then also check out the Facebook, Dear Zuri, and also shout out to Tangi. You can go to her personal page. She also uses her personal page, which is Love Yourself, but the love is spelled LUV and yourself. So love yourself. Shout out to Tangi, and I'm gonna kick it over to Sugarfoot.
Sugarfoot.
The one and only.
Well, hi guys. Hi. So, definitely tune in live right now. We're live Facebook. Go like our Facebook page at U-Nation Radio. And don't forget to check out our Twitter. What happened?
Coulda.
No, I was trying to.
But there are only two.
No, I was trying to.
So I'm on my red. I'm on my red thing. I'm only going for a little while.
It's cool.
You didn't have to interrupt Sugarfoot.
No, I was trying to.
Please apologize.
So don't forget, guys, make sure you follow our Twitter as well. And that's U-Nation_radio. And then don't forget to follow us on Instagram at U-Nation Radio. And to call in tonight, guys, tune into the conversation. That's going to be 323-293-3375.
Cool.
Yes.
All
yes.
right, and,
Miss Tangi, who actually Charles was talking about, is actually going to be joining us in the studio today for our conversation. So shout out to her and her safe travels here. So once she comes in, you'll all know. But yeah. And shout out to Dolores. I see you, girl. Thank you for tuning in on Facebook Live.
Do we got a poll question or anything?
For today?
Yeah.
Well, we are talking about broken families. That is our topic for today. And honestly, the conversation comes at, I believe, a really good time. I know Charles has sent some information about May being Mental Health Awareness Month. And when we talk about broken families, when we really get into like the nitty gritty of a lot of things, some people are suffering from some traumatic events and situations that sometimes are unavoidable, maybe because you grew up in a broken home situation, which could cause and or lead to or stem from some mental health situations. And honestly, just from having conversations with my own friends and things, and even in education, is extremely important for your mental health to be intact. Because honestly, I don't know about you all in your day-to-day jobs and working, but I deal with adolescents, high school students, and you take in a lot of their issues and problems and all of that. And if you don't do things to kind of keep yourself in that woo-saw state of mind, you can really go crazy. To be perfectly honest, and you take those things home and you don't really realize it, and this, that, and the other. But mental health is real. I'm gonna let Charles share because I know his perspective is more of the military side, not Army. I always get it confused. I
served in the Army.
What do you call it? I'm gonna let you take that.
Well, yeah, I just got an email and it was already our topic for the day, and I got it from the Department of Mental Health Awareness, Department of Veterans Affairs. And I would shout out to all the veterans if you are out there and haven't, went to the VA and, sat down with anybody and got an ID card or whatever. And just, I would encourage everybody that to have served or in any capacity, reserved or whatever, just go out there and talk to somebody because, people don't necessarily know, they might not know what they're going through or how to explain it so they might think everything's all good. But you could be dealing with some post-traumatic stress syndrome that you might not be aware of. And, certain things that you might do that you think is normal might not be as normal. So it's good to just talk to different people who have been in your same positions. And, so that's
absolutely. And you know what helps with mental health? Traveling. And I just had the great opportunity to travel to Costa Rica for my honeymoon. And that was just so amazing and relaxing. And yes, mental health. I mean, traveling for me is so mental. I kid you not.
Did you want to stay there forever?
I actually would have. I would have loved to stay a little longer. And I have to say this because you may hear me cough every now and then, and that's because I picked up a Costa Rican virus.
And you just want to cough? What is that?
Wow.
Why are you coughing in my direction?
I'm just letting you know.
Thank you for that.
I might be contagious.
Wow.
Just kidding.
I don't know what.
I took some. Let me tell you, I took some Costa Rican medicine, and I told my doctor about it, and he laughed. He was like, "Okay, I don't mean to talk about Costa Rican medicine, but yeah, it didn't do anything." Not a thing. Wow. But I'm healed.
All right.
I just got a little cough. I just got a little cough. But no, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for your prayers and things, people.
So it's just a little cold, though, right? I mean, what? Just a little cough.
I'm not going to tell you about the other parts of the sickness. What's
Like,
left is a cough.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna.
What were you doing out there? Sure.
No, you know what? Let me tell you. I got to tell y'all this. So we went ziplining, okay? And I almost died. Now, when you think about ziplining, you think...
Did you really almost die?
No, you think, wee, fun, ow, ow. Okay, right? We were in the middle of, I don't know where. Our tour guides only spoke Spanish. Now, I can speak and understand Spanish. However, it's different when you're dealing with, ziplining situations. I don't know those words, right? I know the ones like when we're in a restaurant or we're at a school. You get what I'm saying? And so there were two guys with us, but then another one came. And we had a hike first to where we were going to zip line. And then when we finally got to the top, I was tired and exhausted. And I'm like, now anxiety is kicking in because I'm looking into the trees and I see the wire lines and I no longer felt safe. But guess what? The only way to get down was to zip line down.
You couldn't just go back.
Where was I going to go back to? There were two guides that were with us. One on one side of the platform and the other one zip line to the other. Where are you going? You get what I'm saying? Because he had to wait on the other side. So when we cross, somebody's there to get us. Yeah. So anyway, we get on. They latch the equipment, we get the equipment, they checking it. A whole bunch of people were checking us before we took the hike. But I'm still feeling like, I don't know. You know how you do the extra pull and check, because I don't think, like when you get on a roller coaster and they come and they just tap it. I'm like, no, pull my bar to make sure it works. So anyway, we get on the first line and it was cool, right? Okay. That was all right. They didn't have gates to, once you get on the platform, I figured they open the gate and then it was no gates. It was nothing to hold on to. It was like, jump up so we can hook you up to the thing. So anyway, on the second line, I'm rolling and I feel like I'm coming to a stop, but I'm not at the end of the zip line. And so they're like, make sure you don't do this and make sure you don't do that. So when I stop, they're all yelling at me like, Marcus is like, well, what did you do? They told you not to stop. I said, I didn't touch it. I said, well, what do I do now? I'm stuck. They're like, you're going to have to pull your way. So I'm like, seriously, I'm going to have to pull my way? So I had to pull my way just a little bit, right? But I didn't like that. So my anxiety is really going now. I was like hyperventilating a little bit. Marcus is laughing because he thinks it's funny, right? But the second time, you guys.
So hold up, that was
the first time.
More than once?
I got stuck 3 times.
I would have been done after the first one.
Okay, but the first one I still had to get down. I was in the middle of nowhere, right? The second time I got stopped in the middle of the line. Okay? I'm holding on like this, looking down at the rocks and the trees and the rivers and the creek. Marcus is halfway that way. The man to save me is halfway that way. And I'm just hanging there like, Lord, why did I do this? Who let me get on this zip line and just nobody else had any problem with their equipment. It had to be me. The guy had to come, zip line to me, attach his legs around me, hook his stuff to me, and then he had to walk us, crawl us back.
That's not the first time.
No.
To do that,
let me tell you. I heard the wires whipping through the thing, and I'm looking at because there's a roller on the top and there's a roller on the bottom. I'm looking at the roller not connected to the wire. It's to the side of it. That's the reason why I stopped, because I'm like, there's no reason why I should be slowing down. Right? I'm doing everything. I'm leaning back. Yeah. I'm trying to do all this. So come on, let's go. And it didn't work. So the third time.
Oh. And you had to do it one more time.
No. It was way more lines. This zip line, after the second line, I was like, I got my money's worth. I'm done. I'm ready to go. But we still had more to go. So anyway, to make a long story even longer, yes.
Long story long.
The third time I got stuck, it was like I went, I said, you know what? God is trying to tell me something. I'm here with all the people. I can sit down and stop. So I stopped and I sat down. And they're like, oh, no, get new equipment. No, your equipment failed once. I don't have to get new equipment. I'm done. So I don't ever have to zip line in life again.
But you started the story saying that you almost died. And
Clearly, I almost died because...
I didn't hear that part.
Did you understand that my line was not connected to the wire? I'm sitting up there hitting it like this.
But the man came and got you. It wasn't like...
Yes, but the man... There was a bunch of things that could have happened. And you know what he told me later? He and a couple other guys built the zip line. They climbed in the trees, and
I'm telling you, that
and
was
it
the
was
first time
new.
that
We were the
happened.
first people to use it.
Oh, really? Dang.
Like the first couple. I mean, you know, it had
So
only
you
been.
really could have died.
I know. When I say I felt no type of. I could have died. I thank God I didn't. It's not like the wire started.
Yeah, like I'm thinking that
At that point, I would have died because nobody could have saved me at that point.
Oh yeah, it was done. Hey,
It would have
well,
been done.
that's
and
a
then after
blessing.
that, we got on horses and
Well,
went
did you-
horseback
you-
riding.
did you
They
give 'em
dropped
a
us
Yelp
off in the
review?
middle of nowhere, and then we walked down to
Did
a
you do a
creek
Yelp
and did
review?
whitewater rafting.
What was your Yelp review like?
Oh, I didn't. It wasn't. I mean, who knows? I don't even know the name of the company.
I'm sure he ain't tripping about that.
It was called Pure Adrenaline. I guess it served its purpose.
Yeah, I don't like all those adventure stuff anyway. Personally, anything that comes to like, I personally don't like heights, but I would like to shout out Soul Zone Artists. They had an event at City Hall, and it's called what's that company? Anyways, they do. They did something for La La Land. I did a story on it, and it's Bandaloop. That's what it's called, Bandaloop. And they dance. They're repellers, and they repel down buildings and like. And
Oh, yeah, that would have been part of it, too.
So they repel, and then they,
I was done.
And then they do dancing. So they did this whole thing for La La Land at City Hall. The mayor came out. It was really cool. It was so it's probably some of I gotta send pictures or something so it doesn't sound like I'm just making this whole thing up. But people they'll go to big city structures and then they'll rappel down it. And then when you're looking up from the ground. And they jump off the buildings and all that stuff. It looks like they're flying and floating.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
because it's kind of like a little bit of an optical illusion, a little bit. But it's called the company's called Bandaloop. The company that invited me to come film it was Soul Zone Artists, and they do a bunch of different art activations. And so that's something that I thought was kind of the most scary thing to see somebody rappelling off of a building, dancing. Doing choreography, multiple people, and that's just something that heights is like not my thing.
So you don't do roller coasters at all?
I don't even do roller coasters. That's a whole nother story that I don't want to get into. I was traumatized as a young person, seriously.
No.
But yeah, I don't do
well,
roller coasters either.
for the sake of time.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Elise, and everybody else, Jerry and Santrice, and everybody who's tuned in. I will say this, and then we'll be able to go to a break. But this will kind of kick us into our conversation about broken families. This is a short little excerpt from something I'll be sharing a little bit later, but it says, it seems that wherever you look these days, men are walking out on faithful wives, cheating on loyal girlfriends, deserting beautiful sons and daughters, and it's becoming more common. Some of these men, the adulterous husbands, cheating boyfriends, absent fathers, are irredeemable scum, overgrown adolescents, incapable of placing anything above their own satisfaction.
Who said that? Wow. Where's that from?
Well, we're gonna get into it, but we're gonna be talking about broken families, and so we're gonna go to a quick break. Charles,
well, the
Are you
thing
here?
is, I'm not here. I'm in a sunken place. 'Cause Detroit was supposed to be here, and he's not here, and he's the
And,
dude
you're
that gives the breaks. Could we
well,
just,
it's okay.
yeah,
All you had to do was just kick it to
anything.
She got it.
Broken heart in my
All right, so now we are back. You
like
are tuned in to, again, U Nation Radio on Morris Media Live. I am your girl, Akila Trinae, and This is You Nation Radio. And we have Miss Tangi,
Tangi in
who
the building.
is Dear Uzuri, who is one of our sponsors for the show. So, and if you have tuned in before, then you already know who Tangi is because you've seen her before because she's been on our panel as a host. So welcome back.
Thank you.
To the show. Again, so www.morrismedialive.com if you didn't get it, if I said it too fast the first time. So we're talking about broken families. And the way we'll kind of get into the conversation is kind of broken down into some questions. And the first question is, what is the real issue when it comes to men having babies outside of their main relationship? And so the excerpt that I shared comes from this article, and I actually want to read the first part of it because I feel like it's a great way to kind of lead into the conversation, and then we can all kind of join in. And definitely, if you are a male out there, you don't have to be like a father or anything like that, but you can add your input because that's important, because Charles tonight is the only male on the panel.
And it's quite salty about it.
DJ
And
Reyes back there.
I don't want him
help
to
us out.
excuse me,
out.
feel like he's
It's an
alone.
attack. It's an attack
So
on us.
this
On the black
article,
man.
No, I'm not sure to say I support black fathers.
exactly,
Okay.
and it's and
Black Fathers Lives Matter.
Yeah. I support the black fathers.
don't kill me, don't kill me, don't kill me, okay?
You can't say she's against you.
This article is entitled "Why Men Leave." It is from The Independent. It is a blog. It's from I believe the UK. And the thing that I found very interesting about the article is it has nothing to do with like color lines or anything like that, which we will kind of get into some statistics that I have. But specifically, it just talks about just the nature of a man. And it says that, which I already shared, it seems like wherever you look these days, men are walking out on faithful wives, cheating on loyal girlfriends, deserting beautiful sons and daughters, and it's becoming more common. Some of these men, the adulterous husbands, cheating boyfriends, absent fathers, are irredeemable scum, overgrown adolescents, incapable of placing anything above their own satisfaction. But, whisper it, not all of them. Some are merely looking for something they have yet to find, and it is becoming increasingly difficult to tell the bad guys from the regular ones. There is a cruel and simple truth about the misery modern man so frequently leaves in his wake. There is a reason. It might not be a good reason, but it is a reason nonetheless for all those broken homes, broken hearts, and broken lives. The reason is men expect more from relationships than they ever did in the past. Over the past 10 years or so, one of the great philosophical questions has been whether women can have it all. The possibility of achieving that complex balancing act of good career, happy home has concerned women greatly, not in a dry theoretical sense, but in the day-to-day slog of real life. Countless women have attempted to do the job, build the loving relationship, and have the children, and maintain it all simultaneously. And I would hazard a guess that everyone has concluded that having it all knackers you out. Women have worked out that having it all is more likely to induce a state of premature fatigue than happiness. But the male of the species has not evolved at quite the same speed, which is why these days it is far more likely to be men who dream of the grand passion and the happy home, the work, the play, the stability, the sex.
Well,
That was a lot.
Yeah, it was a
don't
lot.
all answer at once.
Well, it
Don't
wasn't.
look at me.
It wasn't.
Sorry, it was
Goodness,
like a
y'all
lot.
just
It was
in
like
my face.
I had to like process it and like
Yeah.
feel it. Okay.
It's not necessarily a question
Yeah.
in a sense, but it
Where's he getting his
does
research?
serve as some answers. I'll give you some more because
I need
I
some
feel like you
references.
guys. It talks about he might physically go to another woman whom he will eventually disappoint in the same way because no honeymoon lasts forever. Men want essentially what he's saying is men want it all, like women want it all. And they got the idea of wanting it all from women. Right? So when a man gets into a relationship or a situation and he finds that he's not getting it all, right? Because men of the past, and when I say men of the past, I mean our fathers, our grandfathers, our great-grandfathers got a lot of satisfaction and enjoyment out of going to work and making money. Men these days are going to work and making money, but still not getting that great satisfaction as I am the breadwinner of the home and I'm bringing home the bacon and I'm big macho man and taking care of the family. But there's more that's wanted there. And so because of that, more is required. But then the woman...
I'm still trying to figure out the balance of that.
The balance of... Let me give you some more.
Yeah, because you're saying more, but I'm like, what is this more?
Okay.
They want more, but what is it the more? What is the more that they're getting?
It says there is an unspoken belief among men these days that fulfillment is their destiny. Their fathers and grandfathers existed on a meager diet of grueling work, routine sex, distant children, and limited expectations. And that's just not good enough for the greedy guy. And this was in the 90s. Can you imagine now with even more to acquire? It says, what do men want these days then? Too much probably, but after years of hearing women talking about fulfillment, who's to say a man doesn't have the right to dream too? Men have changed. The men of today are as different from their fathers and grandfathers as women are from their mothers and grandmothers. And the reason so many relationships end in tears is because there is a pathetically little attempt to understand exactly how men have changed. It makes me laugh when I hear about a crisis in masculinity. There's no crisis in masculinity. There is a crisis in understanding men.
Okay, so because men are understood, that's why there's a lot of broken families.
So what?
That's what I just heard.
Yeah.
Wait, say that one more time.
No, I was trying to understand. So because, I don't know, it was a lot to digest.
Yeah, it sounded
like he said, we're not understanding men enough.
So yeah,
they're
we're
not feeling appreciated.
Okay, so since men are not feeling appreciated, now women have to understand that balance.
I think essentially what he's saying is...
Because how did it go from men feeling appreciated back in the day, but now all of a sudden men are not feeling appreciated?
I don't think it's about appreciation. I think it's about men just wanting more. Men wanting more than just being able to be the provider in the home.
But where did that... But it stems from women originally wanting more? Is that because women began coming out into the workforce because...
because women always do more. We always do more. At the end of the day, I mean, that's just how we're built. We're wired to, and in no way am I on a side. I'm just just for the people explaining kind of what I understand from his thought process of what is being said here, but. Since women kind of want it all, we have this whole fantasy of all the things that we want out of life, right? And then when we kind of don't necessarily get those things, then certain things are going to shift, whether it's in the home, whether it's in the relationship, whether it's wherever. There's going to be a change when we're not getting what we want. Things are going to change because women kind of dictate a lot more than, of course, men are going to ever really give us credit for, if you guys follow what I'm saying. And so what I'm understanding with this writer is saying in this article is that men want that dream life as well, whether it's attainable or not. You get what I'm saying? Whether it's what I see on social media or what I see on television or whatever as a man, that you can have it all. Your Drakes of the world or your who else is good and popular? I don't want Lil Wayne.
No.
Lil Wayne.
I don't know where you're going.
Come on,
Anybody
Josh.
go Lil Wayne? Give me somebody else.
I mean, I was like, another example of somebody who
You want
seems
Drake?
like they have it all. You got? I mean, like not
I
not
like
that
Kendrick.
I want.
Birdman.
What?
See, Kendrick doesn't do like
Okay,
public
you pushing it,
relationships
Charles.
and stuff like
All
that. Or
right.
Jay-Z, maybe.
Okay.
maybe like your Jay-Z's, your Drakes of the world, those Diddy's. right? That
Shout out.
seem to have it all. You know what I mean? Everything is at their fingertips. And so when people are reaching out and they're grasping for those particular things, it's not really realistic. And that's kind of his point. Like even though it may not be right, even though it may not be acceptable, even though the result is extremely negative in some cases, it doesn't mean that the man is still not going to hope and dream for those things. That he's going to have amazing sex every night. That he's going to have
It
the
sound
woman
like
that
Fences. You ever
is-
seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen the movie Fences.
And in that movie, it was kind of a little bit old timer and timey in the sense that, like, the wife really needed the husband. The husband was the breadwinner, even though he wasn't really making any money. He was a garbage man, and he was trying to be a driver, you know, of the garbage truck, and essentially, you know, him and his wife were struggling, and you know, and you know, it just kind of came into one scene, a couple of scenes. I hadn't actually seen the whole entire thing, but it just like kind of came to a head where it seemed like, in a sense, she work? She worked, right?
She was a stay-at-home.
She was a stay. So yeah, so she really he came home, and you know, it's kind of one of those things. You expect your dinner made, you know, you expect the house to be clean, and that's kind of her position. She raised the kids, but now the kids is out the house, and so it's a different structure nowadays where everything is more.
Well, because women are starting to work more.
Yeah, they're making
both
more
men
money,
and women.
and yeah,
It's not even
and
about
so-
necessarily women making more money. Both men and women are now working in the household.
Well, yeah, you don't have to if you got education and a job and all, et cetera, it's not like you need a man to start to have a family. You don't per se like the family dynamic isn't like mom, dad, kids kind of thing. So dudes, I'm sure, not to say that's a bad thing because you guys can work together as partners, but it also, you have to find the right partner because it's not just the same setup as it was at one point where you got the husband, the wife, and 2.5 kids. Basically, that's and a white picket fence. That's the American dream. You know what I'm saying? And everybody damn near had access to that because of steel mills and in the car industry.
But what the
and,
but
Pontiac
what the
and all that
movie?
stuff, you know?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
mean to scratch you. But what the movie Fences actually showed was that wasn't enough for him because
Yeah, it wasn't,
he dreamed beyond what his circumstances were. He wanted more.
Yeah.
Right. And so his thing was, I do the same thing every day.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? I come to I tell the same stories
Yeah.
every day. I travel to the same bar. You
Yeah.
know, every day, and life is mundane and
yeah.
routine and all of that.
He said he tried to-
and he wanted more, and in order to get that, because it wasn't in the sense of that he didn't love his wife, you know, or anything like that. And spoiler alert, but you should have seen it already.
Shout out
But
to
So I'm a little salty about all of this.
but
It's a
he
it's an old play and
he
stuff, too.
desired more, and what basically he ended up having an outside child from his wife. Can you turn the light off? It's flashing in my eye. But he ended up having an outside
Yeah, that's 'cause
child,
he was in a sunken place. You see that?
which is kind of
Spoiler
what
alert.
we're talking about. But he did it because he wanted something different, right, out of his day-to-day life. It wasn't like he was like, okay, I don't love my wife and I'm not satisfied by my wife and I want to leave her and go for this other woman. But the other woman presented a different part of life for him.
Did
you
he
know
tell
what I mean?
his
He was
wife
older.
that he needed something
No,
different?
no.
How
And
you
he's
gonna
not
tell
going
your
to.
wife that you want to have a baby?
No,
with another
not
woman?
that, but talk to her, do something to maybe add something in or to bring that
What,
out
bring her
that
into
you're
the
missing
bedroom?
of her. Maybe.
But
If
see,
that's
it
your
was.
wife.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. I think he was stressing.
Maybe that could have been a
is
little
that
twist in the scenario.
the overall idea
Figure it out.
of
Work it
you
out. Huh?
wanting something, right? You have this picture in your mind. You have this idea of what would be best, right? Because he wasn't happy about the decision overall, and she's looking at it like, I wasn't happy either, but I didn't go out and create another child.
So what that tells me is that there's just a miscommunication, not necessarily miscommunication,
And it's a
but
power dynamic
communication. I don't think it's necessarily women wanting more, and that's why men want more. It's just, I think things are starting to shift because it went from men being the breadwinner and women staying at home to now both men and women working 9 to 5s and other outside things. And now sometimes with that, when you're trying to build a family, you're trying to make that time for yourself, make that time for your partner, make that time for your job, all while, and even your kids. And that balance, it's just like, it can get overwhelming sometimes. So I think the biggest thing is trying to learn the communication. And
I
don't think it's necessarily anything wrong with men wanting more, just like there's nothing wrong with women wanting more, because we're humans and we should always want to strive for more and for better.
But it sounds
I
like
think
the
that if
more
we have
is,
a partner, we should always communicate.
But it seems like the more is more like extra marital affairs. And how do you communicate that?
Well, there's always something that triggers. Sometimes it's how you were raised and the things that you've experienced growing up. Sometimes it's the people that you hang around. If you don't hang around people that hold you accountable, and let's be honest, when men are single, how do y'all communicate? Or even if men are not single, how do men communicate? Men are actually like, there's some men who will just sit around in a huddle and talk about women.
I've never been single.
Regardless,
nobody has time for your jokes.
I'm just saying, like, so you have to look at it from that perspective. Whereas if a man grows up around this particular environment, then that's what causes certain things to move in a certain direction. If you're not around people that hold you accountable,
what do you mean? I need you to be more specific.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I've had male friends, and it's like they've, when they were younger, they used to huddle around and just talk like, hey, I had sex with this person and this and that, and just like talk about women. So it's just like, that's just become the norm because society uses that as a norm and places that upon men. So then men, their brain becomes programmed to, okay, well, this is how it's supposed to be. And so as a little boy now grows into a man, and so, but he's still carrying the same mindset because that's all the male mindset has been conditioned and programmed to be.
Because I think essentially we're trying to figure out, hold on, let me go back to my question. What is the real issue when it comes to men having babies outside of their main relationship? Babies is a baby is the how do I want to put it? It is the result. Right? It's the result of a man essentially being unfaithful in a situation, whether it's girlfriend boyfriend relationship or whether it's a marriage, right? Because at the end of the day, he's leaving the relationship to go and be with someone else, and I don't think the intention is, let me go make a baby over here. But like I said, that ends up being the result. And I'm not going to call it a consequence because we know that babies are blessings. So what happens is, in the article I was kind of sharing, he's trying to provide a reason as to why a man because let's take a man and a woman are in a relationship where things could be like fairly good. We're not going to say like it's just terrible, it's bad, because that's an easy way, right? For a man to leave or walk away. A woman would do the same, right? Leave or walk away. But let's just say he's in a relationship, he's with somebody he loves, right? So I'm taking that scenario and then I'm reading the excerpts from an article that says, well, a man doesn't want a woman to switch from, right, being all sexy lady, mama, whatever, to, okay, now I'm comfortable. I'm about to roll my hair up. I'm about to throw my t-shirt on, put my sweats on. I'm comfortable. I'm at the house. I'm chilling, right? So if a man, again, who wants it all, right, we're talking about that, okay, I want to be able to have Give me somebody bad. You gotta just be ready and to give me these things. I need it, like on your toes. Who is she?
Nia Long is bad.
Amber Rose.
Okay, Amber
Not
Rose.
Amber Rose. Nia Long.
We can't hate on whoever he give us. We just gonna
All
roll
right.
with it. Okay.
Okay.
Amber, because he.
Nia
But think
Long.
about it. He's a man, right? So we're gonna go with his man thoughts.
Okay.
So, and no pun
guess.
intended.
Damn.
Y'all heard my pun? Anyway. So we're gonna go with Amber Rose.
Okay.
So he wants Amber Rose, right? Mm-hmm. But instead, right, he gets Erykah Badu coming home in the bed, and he's like,
Hey, that's not bad.
"Yeah, it's
Erykah
not
Badu-
bad.
I
It's
was about to say.
not
Erykah
bad."
Badu.
But my
I like,
point
I like
is,
shea butter.
I like Shea Butter.
of course you
Can't,
do.
can't.
You know what I'm saying? But you think like the man who likes Amber Rose.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Be in that mindset, right? So my point is, he wants Amber Rose all the time, right? He doesn't want, Amber Rose and then I don't know, Whoopi.
Well,
Because
that's
every now and then,
Chill.
right?
Whoopi.
big,
It's a big difference.
that's a big
What I'm saying is,
is,
it's the same
didn't
woman. My point is, it's the same woman, but we're not always at our best, right? Because I'm essentially saying that this woman is Amber Rose at times, but every now and then she might be Whoopi. But he
come
wants.
on, look. First of all, I'm not gonna let y'all keep saying Whoopi like that. Shout out to Whoopi. But all
You
in
can't
all,
interrupt me to just-
no, that's not.
I love Whoopi.
Yeah,
And
me
I just
too.
said
Yeah.
that the woman is both Amber Rose and Whoopi.
No,
but
we
he
can-
might want
we
Amber
can
Rose.
say-
I'm going off the article. This is not me because I'm not
But
a man,
Amber Rose
right?
and Whoopi.
That's just like, come on, like,
not working
for
at
real.
all.
The reason why it works
Amber
is because what he said, look, he said, don't brutally switch from being naked in bed one night to wearing a raggedy old t-shirt the next.
But why does
I
Whoopi
feel
have
like
to
him
do
saying,
that? That's
so
exactly
what I
what
would've
I'm
brutally
saying.
switch.
Okay,
That's
so
a
it sounds
bad
like he's
example.
trying to justify just the actions that men
Yeah,
decide
all
to
right,
take.
look. No, it's
No,
like
no.
this. That's a real.
Yes.
It's a,
No, no,
it's
no,
a-
yes.
It's a,
Yes.
it's
We
a reality
want
thing
what
too.
y'all want, so we got to do what we got to do
Look,
too, and y'all
look,
got to understand.
hey,
He said
do
we
you
won't
want-
like it.
Do you want Tyson Bedford or
Here we go.
Rob Kardashian? You know what I'm saying?
That's just as bad as that's worse than Amber. That's way worse than Amber and Whoopi. No, fired, cancel,
Hey,
abort.
I'm just
tequila.
going down. I'm just keeping the flow of the energy going. So I'm
The
just
point-
saying, do you want a dude to come around in these nice, tank top and Calvin Klein underwear, and then all of a sudden y'all together, and next thing you know, you washing the clothes, and it's like holy draws and all that.
I think it's just
And
too
you're
much
like, wait a
emphasis
second,
on-
this ain't what I signed up for.
Well,
But you have to think,
his point
we get
is, go
older.
ahead.
I'm sorry, we get older, so it's just, you can go from looking a certain way when you're in your 20s or even in your 30s or maybe even in your 40s. But, as you get older, things just start to just shift, and then that's just natural. Wrinkles come, and, you just look different. You don't look the same as you
Old
were
as
when you were
gold.
younger. So it's just like, how do you, if
But
you
I don't
know,
even think
so
he's
it's
to
just
that
like,
point. Not even to the
but it's
aging
like,
point.
But it's like, why are we even looking at this is not what I signed up for when what you signed up for was should be this person's soul or spirit, because the external
But you
flesh is
also
going to
gotta
shift
maintain-
anyway.
Basically, it's not the materialistic things that
It's
should
It's
not.
gonna
matter.
shit. It's gonna shit. Like the
What-
body's
No, I
gonna be
agree.
different.
Your maintenance.
What is it that's happening within them?
Maintenance.
Because if
with
somebody-
the girl,
Maintenance.
Because if somebody
same
want to come
thing that
home
you
looking like
signed up.
Whoopi, then the next day. But
look,
then
you knew she was gonna look like Whoopi at night. Don't front. So let's
No,
find
I
out
can't
what's
lie.
wrong
Hey, no,
with
for the
her
record,
soul.
for the
That's
record,
messing you up.
can I just say I just seen
For the
online.
record.
I seen online this video, right? And I never seen nothing like this. This lady had like a bodysuit, and this joint They said the title of the video says this is why guys have trust issues. This woman had like a really large belly, but she put on this bodysuit that's like it went from strap, then it like zipped up, and then it was like it just literally formed all her fat into like an hourglass shape. I never seen that
Really?
before.
I've never seen that either.
But
She had on like a super girdle.
Yeah, it was like a girdle.
Whoa.
Then it was
Well,
like a
that's
zip.
deception.
But it was like a zip. Then it was like a zipper
That's
thing.
understandable.
That was like a
That's
bodysuit.
understandable, but we're
Because-
talking about in general. Like,
No, but that's
What's happening
what he's
within this
saying in the
relationship?
article. Look, you got Spanx.
okay, bro.
You
That
got
is
those
not
girdle
After
You
one
things.
can't
time, but
compare.
after one time, you're
Now,
gonna
here's
tell
the
the
thing.
believer that there's no history there.
Here's
Nothing's
the
being
thing,
formed
ladies,
there.
and I know
There's
you
a
know
lot of
we
things that
we
you
got to
might-
go to a break, but here's the thing: I am with y'all. The only difference is, and the problem is
just going
that
with the
we're
article.
not men, right? So we don't even think the same. So this man is offering a reason as to why men are leaving. He's not saying the man is leaving because she put a T-shirt on. It's the whole idea. It's the mental part of this fantasy now that he has. He wants
What
it
happened to
all,
the
right?
lingerie?
Where does the
That's what he's saying.
fantasy come from?
What happened to the
Whatever he dreamed
lingerie?
up, the same fantasies that we dream
There's
up.
like
when
we need like a
Somebody's answering
the
my
man
question.
doesn't
story or
fulfill
something.
whatever it is that we want. But he also says a man will always stay with the woman he considers to be his best friend because of him not wanting to be in a relationship with a woman who attempts to try to change or mold him into something else and just accepts him for the way that he is. Y'all doing this. Pointing. I can point too. And Charles is just terrible at breaks. I mean, just terrible.
You said
he
you was
has
gonna
like
do
no
it.
like low
No,
key.
right,
like,
right.
signals.
That's what I'm saying.
None of
like,
them are like low key. They're all like
huh? What? We gotta go to a break.
pray your hands. We out.
Really? Like,
Say it like that.
You
That
get
should be
what I'm
yours.
saying?
This is called on the scene coaching. So, but shout out to the poet.
do you know what song this is?
This is one of the one hits that Homeboy had. I think
Donnell Jones.
Don't
Donnell
do that.
Jones.
Where I want to be?
Where I want to be. Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it
don't-
Donnell Jones?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, baby.
So
That
we are
was Donnell Jones for anyone that was wondering.
where I want to
The
be.
smooth renditions of what we want to hear. I don't know.
Right.
That
Yeah.
voice was something.
So we are back. Again, you're tuned into Love Sessions Nation Radio. We're talking about broken families. The first part we were kind of talking about. It wasn't my reasoning, you guys. I was just giving some explanations and understanding to why men leave.
Don't leave
According
your kids.
to
Don't-
Tony Parsons, I don't think I ever said his name, but this article was written in '99, which I thought was interesting, just because I feel like even some of those ideals of thought are still relevant in 2017. When dang, it's 2017, y'all, almost 20 years later. I wanted to share with you guys some statistics. We still have Miss Tangi in the building, who is, of course, one of our sponsors. So shout out to Dear Zuri. She's like,
I have an
yes,
event coming up too. I'll
yes.
talk about that later.
Okay, awesome. So the divorce rate, this is from the single motherguide.com. The divorce rate among couples with children is 40% lower than couples without children. 43% of children growing up in America today are being raised without their fathers. 75% of children with divorced parents live with their mother. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, out of about 12 million single-parent families in 2015, more than 80% were headed by single mothers. Today, 1 in 4 children under the age of 18, a total of about 17.4 million, are being raised without a father, and nearly half, it's about 45%, live below the poverty line. And that was September 17, 2016. Again, single mother statistics from the Single Mother Guide. Another one, according to News One Online, in the African American community, 72% of black children are raised in a single parent household. This is a national disaster. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Department of Justice, Department of Health and Human Services, and the U.S. Census Bureau, 63% of all youth suicides, 71% of pregnant teenagers, 85% of all youth in prison, 90% of all homeless and runaway children, and 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. And that's from www.wnd.com.
A lot. Again. We got to break up these numbers so I can process
Okay.
each of them.
So the first part is basically the divorce rate one is just it's lower for people who have children.
Okay.
So people who get married who have children are more likely to stay together versus the ones that don't. And 43% of children growing up in America are being raised without their fathers. That's just overall, no specific race or
in general.
ethnicity.
That's
so 43%.
really high.
So then I think I gave one for African Americans. Where was that one? Oh, 72% of black children are raised in a single parent household.
We're back. I'm back.
And I was reading another article that was really talking about that the question is, why isn't this actually I think they mentioned like Times Magazine didn't really stress that in the African American community specifically, it's not being stressed that in these single parent homes they're also poverty stricken. So you have what the question is overall when we talk about broken families and we talk about why men are leaving certain situations. You're not talking about just I'm leaving this happy home with lots of money and all this other stuff, but you're talking about some deep stuff going on in these home relationship situations. And I'm not a man. None of us are men. He's a man. But I don't believe you don't have a broken home, right? You have a...
I want to announce it now. Live. No, I definitely don't understand that. That's something that I wonder about myself as far as, thankfully I have a father that was in my life. And I wonder, like, what... I definitely think that the men in particular who probably have... one thing here goes how I'll unpack it a little bit. But I would say one aspect is kind of a genetic thing and also just a practical thing. Like mothers technically probably can't leave their kids at the same rate that fathers can, because just off of like just practicability. Like the woman is actually having the baby, giving birth to the baby. The mother is cling. The child is like clinging to the woman and the breast and all that stuff. I'm just saying I'm just saying from a practical standpoint, right. just from that, just off of that. Not to say women don't have their own maternal issues and post-traumatic syndromes. That is very real. Also going back to mental health, but the other part is I think a lot of those men that possibly leave their children, probably their father left them, and that's probably this learned, in a sense, a learned behavior where it's probably deep-seated into their brains where maybe they don't feel that connection like that they probably, I don't know, it's just something that's disconnected there as far as, wow, this is my child, I need to be there or whatever.
Because I think the question is like, I know for sure, is if men are leaving these relationships because they feel as if maybe women are angry and bitter and sad and creating potentially a hostile environment for him mentally. And that's why I talked about the mental health, because sometimes we don't really think about the mental health of men and or women in these relationships, right? We already know that relationships are hard. We go through stuff. We go insane. I know I have my own, moments where like mentally I just feel like overwhelmed, right? And then you become emotionally overwhelmed in the situation, and you just kind of want to break free. I don't want to do this anymore. You kind of want to give up, depending on, where you are in life and what's tugging and pulling at your situation, what's pulling at your finances, what's pulling at your, family stuff, you know what I mean? Just all types of things that are going on. So if you're in the mindset of, I'm trying to achieve all this stuff over here, and then I look at my home situation, or I look at the relationship, and it seems so burdensome, it seems so potentially negative. It seems that it's not really supportive or encouraging or uplifting, then I don't know, maybe a man would then be like, well, you know what, look, I don't have time for that. I'm going over here. In Costa Rica, I don't know who the artist is, but I know a lot of rappers. Like, I like to listen to the lyrics of what people are saying, but a lot of these young rappers, like and this is not a verbatim line, and I don't know who the artist is, but the message that I got from it, from multiple songs that I've heard, is, look, I'm not about to waste my time over here. If this is a stressful environment, like, forget all that. I'm going over here.
Oh, I think
Let
I heard
me
that
do
song.
me.
I think I heard that
Don't
song
bother
before.
me. I'm sure you have, because it's in a lot of.
I'm joking.
It's in a lot of lyrics. Like, let me do me. Let me be free. Don't bother me. Let me let my hair down. You're not giving me that, so I'm out. I'm going over here. And
But I think
when I go over here,
when you got the baby,
homegirl, which might be like best friend or Amber Rose, right? Because I'm being whoopee, right?
Hey,
She's letting me be me.
You said it.
She's letting me be free. It got a little bit too familiar, and oops, we're pregnant. And now I have to explain this situation to main chick.
I just feel like why be with somebody if you're just gonna do all of that? It's just a waste of
I don't
a
really
headache
feel like it's the
of
intent.
time.
I don't know, men. Hey, out there,
You gonna
323,
cheat with every
I
other
don't
girl in
think
the
a lot
world.
of
Why are
men
you
have
wasting
the
time?
intent on
That's
when
what
they
I'm
have
saying.
sex that they intentionally want to go out and have all these babies. They just
I don't
want
even
that
think they
nut.
want the baby at all, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I just think they want that nut.
That's why I said it was the
That what?
results.
That nut.
She said it.
He said,
That's what it is. And then it's
Oh,
like,
my
oh,
goodness
and then it's like
gracious.
when you're like, it's a baby. You're like, whoa, I wasn't trying to do all this. I just want to have fun, Like, people don't look at how powerful sex is. I've been saying this for so long.
How
sex
long,
is so
girl?
powerful. Sex is so powerful, especially the higher you get in your spirituality. It's just like that connection. It's just you have to pay attention to how you, just who you do it with and all of that. How your energy is. For me, because I have a baby, like I have to make sure my energy is right at all times, because if I would have conceived in like an unhealthy state, then I could have transferred that down to my child, Like, it's, people just don't realize how powerful
And
sex is.
in addition to that, I would say I just had the honor and pleasure of interviewing a young artist. He's a writer, songwriter, Pooh Bear. Shout out to him. And he has a movie that's coming out. All right, that's out actually right now on Red Bull TV, and it's called Afraid of Forever. And basically, in this movie that talks about he's a top liner. So he writes like really dope lyrics, and he's been like in the game for a long time. So he's wrote like Peaches and Cream back in the day. It's up until
for 112?
yeah, for 112 up until right now where he
I knew
did
she was about to bust the move.
Justin Bieber's album, the last one, and he did like
It's okay.
Where Are You Now and all that, all those big hits with Skillers. So he did, What Do You Mean? Yeah, Sorry and all that stuff. So he's like, you know what I'm saying? And I think he actually just did the DJ Khaled song with Justin Bieber and Chance the Rapper and Migos, all that stuff. So anyways, he's like a solid, solidified dude. But all that to say is I watched this movie, and spoiler alert, like his dad ended up leaving him and his family when he was like 8 years old. And then right after his dad ends up leaving, he like a tornado hits his whole entire block, wipes out the block. They end up being homeless for like 8 months. You know what I'm saying? So it was
Him
just
and his mom.
him and his mom and his brother. And so it was just like a real unfortunate situation. But ironically, like a lot of these stories, he forgave his dad. Just to say that, recently he forgave him, and his dad ended up being in his wedding. He just recently got married, and like most stories, you see the son forgiving the father or the parent, the absent parent, and then and it's just like, it's really unfortunate because these people never get over having an absent parent like that, and the absent parent always ends up making their way, and you mostly hear about it because of celebrities, but it's like I've seen it where you just they make their way back into the kid's life, and it's just sad because, like, if this dude, say for instance, this dude just was a regular 9-to-5 blue collar worker, would his dad have built that relationship back? And I'm not just speaking to his dad in particular, but I'm just saying, when you see celebrity parents or absent parents of celebrities coming back into their lives, and you're like, man, that's just like really unfortunate and whack that you would leave a kid and then mosey on back into their lives. And you've seen, I think I've seen it like in movies where, I forget one movie in particular, where the parent came, or somebody's parent came out, maybe it wasn't a movie, but somebody's parent made their way back into and Ray, wasn't it Ray? That's what I'm thinking about, the movie Ray with Jamie Foxx.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so it was a scene where his mom, no, it wasn't Ray. It was James Brown. I think it was James Brown. Anyways, it was one of those, James Brown and Ray. And they came back into their lives, and they made it back to the backstage. It was actually a James Brown movie.
Okay.
But he made it back to the backstage. Her mom made it backstage, and she asked for some money, and he ended up giving her some money, but he was like, yeah, just don't ever, come around anymore. I don't want anything to do with you, because he's made his life. He's made a fine life for himself without, the help of this person. And she abandoned him at a time when he needed him the most. And so it's just one of those things that that happens to people, and people are able to overcome it. But, it's unfortunate.
I'm curious to know what our listeners think, or viewers, and who's responsible.
I was just about to say.
Right, for the division. Like, who's responsible? Is it? I shared some statistics, right, and they didn't come from anywhere. They didn't just. We couldn't just make that up. It stems from somewhere. Those who have been left or felt like, I used to use this term, pop-up babies, because I felt like it was crazy.
A break baby?
Huh?
A break baby?
No. I mean pop-up babies, and I'm going to explain it. Pop-up babies, I mean that, you could be talking to somebody or in a relationship, or maybe you thought you were in a relationship or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, I got a baby, and you're like, baby.
Wait a minute.
Like, out of nowhere, like, how, poof, like, how did that happen? You didn't know that you had yes, you knew you had a baby. This baby just came, what seems like for us, as a woman who has experienced that, like, the baby is coming out, out of nowhere. Like, it just popped up.
You experienced the pop-up baby?
Well, not like I wasn't in a relationship, but I'm just saying, like, where did this baby come from? Like,
so I'm trying to understand it. So you are
like, there was listen
what I'm saying. You're talking to the dude, and then the guy is telling you that he has a baby that you didn't know about.
Yes,
or,
it's a with somebody
baby.
With somebody. Well, not with me, because I didn't have it.
Well, I didn't know if y'all were like dealing with each other, and just I didn't know if it was
it
personal
wasn't.
thing or
not
whatever,
like a break type of thing, but no, like seriously, like, oh, I got a baby, and not because they want to tell you. You know what I mean? Because you always hear about it and find out about something. Of course, like with me, you know what I'm saying? If we talking and then a baby pop up, I'm like, yeah, bye.
So this is a new baby, not like
No, yeah,
oh, I got a daughter.
No,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
like
yeah.
I got a 15-year-old and I
Yeah.
didn't tell you about it. I mean, I literally mean like a pop-up baby. Like, wow.
Your baby's like 6 months.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
where
And
did
we've
that
been talking
come
for
from?
a year or something.
And
or
I-
two,
and-
no,
so,
but even that's still a little off. 'Cause it
and
could
I
be
and
6
I
months.
know even guys, I'm not even talking about in a relationship, but just friends with, you know what I mean? And you're like, wait a minute. I thought you were, you know what I'm saying,
Okay, so
in a relationship with this person. Where did this baby come from? You know what I'm saying? Like, when did that happen? Who, how, when, what?
Okay, so kind of like a mix, like a 2-part question to that then. Who do you guys think is more responsible? But also, if that pop-up baby does come, or maybe you guys have like formed a relationship and then, yes, a break baby, as Charles called it, do you guys believe like we're supposed to accept that? Or are you going to work it out with that man? Or if you have a baby on you, what are you doing?
I was going to give y'all another spoiler alert, but I'm not. Because I just saw it.
I want to say I think it's a responsibility of both the men and women, because there's obviously a disconnect. And when you have a relationship, you have to make sure that not only that there's love, but there's a certain connection that you have. And many times people are having these babies, but there's no love and there's no connection. And there's these fantasies in their head. So when there is these pop-up babies, or these babies that just come out of nowhere, or even babies, unplanned pregnancies, and people run away, or all this dysfunction, I think it comes when there's a disconnect somewhere. I think it all goes back to that. Now, as far as staying with that person, I think that's a personal choice. I think a lot of women do feel like they do have to stay, because I personally, I've observed, and I've had so many conversations with women, and their men or whoever, they were in a relationship with someone or whatever, and the guy ended up having an outside child, and they just feel like they got to stay, because it's like when you have a family, you want to keep your family, you want to understand it's a lot of thoughts that go on in your mind. So it's just like, okay, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
You see how happy your child is with the dad. Do you want to, interfere with that type of relationship? How would your child view you? It's like a lot of, I don't know, it's not politics, but it's just a lot of mental breakdown that you end up going through. And then it's just easier to just stay.
Right. Mm.
And that kind of goes to another part of the question. Is if women are having babies to keep a man or save a relationship. So if we look at it on one hand, right?
Women do that too.
I don't know
Women do that too.
who this other woman is, right? Let's just say hypothetically I'm in a relationship with a man, right? And I don't know what relationship he has with this other woman. All she is to me is another woman, right? And so for her sake, she may potentially, what the question is saying, she may be like, look, I'm going to solidify this baby situation with him, and then he really going to be mine. You know what I mean? Even though he's mine and he want to be over here, but he's torn, for whatever reason, on this other side. And I don't have the answers to any of these questions, but I'm curious to know, what other people think or what other people believe when it comes to that. Maybe because you've experienced this situation, or somebody who has, and you've heard the testimony of. I was talking with someone about a situation about somebody just feeling as though they couldn't help themselves. To be honest, it had nothing to do with not loving the person that they were with. It was just one of those situations they knew that that was them. They had a problem with being faithful, with being committed in a sense to the one woman, and found themselves straying.
It's all about paying attention. I think signs are always in the beginning. If you don't pay attention, then nothing should come as a surprise if you pay attention.
Truthfully, because if something's really, a vibe is really off, you should automatically feel that vibe.
I think many times we get signs. It can be both men and women. We get signs, and then we just oh, well, it's the beginning, or Like, we just validate things with these excuses, and then we continue on. And then when things happen, like, oh, she crazy, she just buzzed my windows out. Like, I didn't know you was this psycho. Like, you should have paid attention to the signs. Like, if this person keeps popping up, this person is psycho. This person got some mental health issues.
I know,
or if, you know, if this person is constantly hiding their phone, it's obvious that this person is doing their own thing, you know, and not completely focused on you, or now you're an option. So then, if you know that you're an option, why are you acting shocked when it becomes public
When you
that
get that proof.
that you're an option?
I know when you have a baby with someone, it's a time frame where the hormones is just like out of whack. When somebody's pregnant, and I know for me personally, when I got some good advice from a friend of mine who had whose girl had a miscarriage, but he was just like, look, you're just gonna have to take a bunch of L's and all the arguments for the next 9 months. And my wife has 2 kids, but I will attest to say that during that time frame, it's very difficult, and after the pregnancy becomes difficult too, because it's the postpartum stuff kick in, and it's just a situation where if you don't have that commitment to that person, you're not invested into that person. Now it's just like you have a baby. You get what I'm saying? Y'all, you can have sex with a person, but that doesn't make you actually committed to that person. I could see somebody saying, look, I don't want to deal with you anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because there's like, especially, closer to the birth of the baby, there's literally virtually nothing you can do right down there. Like, as a dude, you're doing the wrong thing. I don't care if you're breathing hard. I don't care what you're doing. You're eating an apple. You're doing the wrong thing, and she's going to let you know it. And it's just part of the game. You know what I'm saying? And then that's why you don't have kids with somebody that you ain't rocking with like that, because they could end up just saying, this is too much for me.
But I think that's essentially what the situation is. This is what the problem is, right? The problem is just that people, because it takes two, the man and the woman, are literally creating children, babies, right? And they're not planned. You know what I'm saying? We're not necessarily, and actually in broken families, it can go both ways. It can be an actual planned, right, situation,
and the plan goes
and then
bad or whatever.
It becomes overwhelming. You know what I mean? Like, we keep talking about that mental health, but like, literally, if you have this idea, right? We have this idea of what, I'm not a mother, I have an idea. So you conceptually, because you have a child. Mm-hmm. I have an idea of what it might be like to have a baby. I can watch you interact with your baby, right? Because I don't go home with you. I don't see, you know what I mean, the late nights. I don't see the struggles. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see that. But what I do see is you carrying the baby's cute. I hold the baby. I have an idea.
You don't know how she was
fantasy
crying when you was trying to do her hair.
Yeah, right. But I have this fantasy of what I believe motherhood would be like for me, like, right? But then if I have this child, right, all these ideas, right, now reality is sinking in, and I'm like, man, like, I don't really know if I want to do this. I can't do this. Like you said, I can't leave. I can leave, right? Because I can potentially.
I can.
No, but
I'm just committed to before.
But I'm more committed to it. So then, as that woman, it's like, man, I really can't leave. You know what I'm saying? And then there's
exactly.
Right. So then maybe the man in that situation is really like, well, you know what? It's just as overwhelming for me, even though I may not be the one who's, feeding the baby and rocking the baby and doing a lot of stuff that technically men in the early stages of the baby's life anyway. The
baby isn't as a man.
You know what I mean? Like, I've watched a lot of fathers just kind of, they can't do much.
Well, no, like, if the baby is breastfeeding, especially if a baby's breastfeeding, they are not rocking with you as the dad. Like,
right, but
pretty much. No,
now,
they're not.
What I'm saying, listen.
I mean, look, trust me.
You can pump.
What I'm saying is.
But essentially,
that's what I'm saying. Pump. You're. What I'm saying is, For one, they
There's
they can
ways
smell.
around it.
No. What I'm saying, you're missing what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that
She's
what I'm
like,
saying
you
is,
can do something.
No. I'm
Which I
saying
agree.
the kids are clinging.
No,
to
right.
to the mother
As they should, because
they-
that's a part of the
that's just
natural
That's like
process.
the natural thing. They want that. They want the boob. You know what I'm saying? They literally want. If like I said, I don't know other experiences, but I'm saying both my kids breastfed, and up until like, I mean, almost 8 months, my daughter was just. When she wanted somebody, she wanted comfort. When she wanted something, she wanted mommy. It wasn't. You know what I'm saying? It's just because the kid, when you're breastfeeding and it's small, they're clinging on. That's the thing. They can smell it. That's in their senses. You know, like my son, you know, this is just a blessing, but he just came out. I mean, literally, it was like the most amazing thing I've seen. He came out the womb and they put him on something and he like started breastfeeding. And I was just like, wow, like he didn't. That was just his natural thing. Nobody told him what to do.
Nobody
You
told
know, like seriously, it was just like he latched on. It was just like that's the first thing that he did when he came out of the womb. That's natural. That's where he wants to be. He wants to be on the boob.
What I can say is there are ways to incorporate the father into that. Like you could help your wife, pump her boob.
And
those things are true.
So while the
that's
baby
not-
is on one
you don't-
boob,
but
because you have to have
just-
that
I just would
balance,
like to
unless your boob
understand-
gonna be lopsided. So you gotta have this baby on one side, and you
I'm
can be
not
pumping.
discounting that, Tangy. I'm just saying.
But I
I'm
was
saying
making a
one
point.
thing.
My point was
drifted to
is
somewhere
that this was my
else.
point. That overall,
Yes.
the man's just like the woman's idea. Like I was giving the example of my idea of what motherhood may be. I don't know, right? So all the mothers in the world would be like, girl, you don't know. Watch when you have your baby. Shout out to my best friend Saja. When you have your baby, look, okay, right, let me live my fantasy. But the idea is that once it does happen and it's not what you imagine it to be, it's not what you dreamed it would be, it wasn't, you didn't dream of the hard times and the irritation and all of that, then you may become overwhelmed. And because the man has an easier way of exiting, you get what I'm saying, they're going to take that exodus. And I don't even think that it's always, because I was reading something else, that this person is just not wanting to be in the child's life. Like they don't want to love and support a child, because from what the writer of the other article that I was reading is saying is that it tears a man apart. You know what I mean? To be away from that child, but then, would you say?
Some.
Because
Not
I've heard,
all. Not
Yeah, some, not all.
I've heard some men really say like, she knew type thing. But I've heard some men literally say like, I would diet like if I wasn't a good father.
But
like if I wasn't there.
let's
for
also
them
think
type
about
thing.
the men that maybe never even looked, touched, held the baby versus, so now we have an idea of this child that I'm the father of that they're like, I don't even know if I'm really the father of, versus the ones that really did touch, hold, experience that child, but still made a decision to say, you know what, I can't do this. You know what I mean?
Also on the flip side, which we're not talking about, is the women that leverage the babies as collateral for
Yeah.
the
That's-
relationship. And that's
how-
an
that's part of
aspect.
broken
And then
households, too.
yeah,
Right.
They say
Where
they want
it's-
you there, but every
yeah.
time you try, it's like, but you ain't never here. Well, you always going crazy when I try.
Well, it's a lot of layers to scenarios like that too, because I've definitely seen fellas on the flip side where they
want to.
They don't relationship. They might not. There's a thing. The baby came through whatever set of circumstances, but their relationship is non-existent, and then at some point, the woman or whatever possibly wants the relationship to exist, or doesn't want another relationship that he might be in.
And we're gonna hold that thought, because I got some.
And then it's
something
like,
that-
then it's like, hey, what's
support
up with
that.
Yeah.
I have something to support exactly
Okay.
what you're saying after the break.
After the break.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We don't have Detroit here, so that's the thing. Once again, we got to go with a poetess rendition of something out of the jukebox.
And what I'm going to share with you is
She got
forced
something.
fatherhood fair? Is forced.
Oh,
Fatherhood fair, which is kind of the flip side of what you brought up.
When it's
Made
unplanned,
this
when it's
baby.
unplanned, it's like, is it forced motherhood? Because I don't know. Because just because you have a baby, now it's
Well,
like
let's-
now you want to go into the abortion thing.
Let's dive into those
because
thoughts.
it's just unplanned. That's forced, you know. Like
After
if neither
this.
party is looking for it.
Break.
She was like, let me tee that.
I was chasing
All right,
Oh, she
Charles
is
is showing
cute.
pictures of his
all
beautiful
that
daughter,
brown.
all up in my face.
Well, I'm gonna show mine. Don't be.
We are back again. You're tuned into Love Sessions. Miss TNG and Charles and
I was trying to find
Sugarfoot.
pictures of my
I'm Keela
baby.
Trinae. And what I said, the title of the article, I'm only going to read an excerpt, is Forced Fatherhood Fair? This is by Lori, I'm guessing her last name is Schrage. This is from June 12, 2013. It says, women's rights advocates have long struggled for motherhood to be a voluntary condition and not one imposed by nature or culture. In places where women and girls have access to affordable and safe contraception and abortion services, and where there are programs to assist mothers in distress find foster and adoptive parents, voluntary motherhood is basically a reality. In many states, infant safe haven laws allow a birth mother to walk away from her newborn baby if she leaves it unharmed at a designated facility. If a man accidentally conceives a child with a woman and does not want to raise the child with her, what are his choices? Surprisingly, he has few options in the United States. He can urge her to seek an abortion, but ultimately that decision is hers to make. Should she decide to continue the pregnancy and raise the child, and should she or our government attempt to establish him as the legal father, he can be stuck with years of child support payments. Do men now have less reproductive autonomy than women? Should men have more control over when and how they become parents, as many women do now do? The political philosopher Elizabeth Brake has argued that our policies should give men who accidentally impregnate a woman more options, and that feminists should oppose policies that make fatherhood compulsory. In a 2005 article in the Journal of Applied Philosophy, she wrote, "If women's partial responsibility for pregnancy does not obligate them to support a fetus, then men's partial responsibility for pregnancy does not obligate them to support a resulting child. At most, according to Brake, men should be responsible for helping with the medical expenses and other costs of a pregnancy for which they are partly responsible."
All these articles, it's a lot to digest. I
I
be
just-
like, okay.
I mean, as far as men getting more options, I mean, I can kind of see where they're coming from. But they're saying that they're being forced to be fathers. But, I mean, we both laid down together. So now at this point, I mean, if I didn't plan on getting pregnant, I'm being forced to be a mother as well.
Well,
So
no,
our
because
only-
what they're saying is there are options for women.
But our options are to do things that have to harm our body that can cause us to maybe
No, not the only one. You can give a child up for adoption. You
It's still
can,
mental harm.
But yeah, you've
No,
carried that child
absolutely.
for 9 months, or you have to have an abortion that hurts you physically.
Absolutely.
It's like our
But the
options
question
are
lies
not
if
healthy.
a man says that he doesn't want to. If a woman decides she doesn't want to have the child, she has the option to go get an abortion, whether he wants the child or not, because it's her body, right?
Right.
But if a man decides, I don't want this child, he can't do anything about it. And that's what this is saying. So if a man and a woman did not plan, see, this is the problem. This is the problem that we have, right? We have people who get in relationships or non-relationships or
And don't
talking
use
or whatever.
protection.
Don't use protection.
So you're
Don't
not sure.
communicate.
And then be sure.
Don't plan. We're not laying down right now to have a baby. Y'all was laying down because it felt good and it felt
It's a
right
po-
and
it's
the
a
moment was
poster.
good, right?
It's a poster that just says that, where it says, "Don't let the moment be be your excuse, and it's like a condom.
Because there are a bunch of poor parents, mothers and fathers, right? Because they didn't want it. And they're like, I didn't sign up for this, right? So they leave their babies with, everybody and whatever, because that's
Grandma.
not the life that they wanted for themselves.
And they did sign
But
up for it.
we know technically yes, but in actuality, mentally no. Mentally, financially, hey, get that out. Mentally, financially, spiritually, they did it, right? You know what I mean? But technically, yes, they did. You know what I mean? Physically, yes, they did. And so I just thought that was an interesting argument that technically, if the man is like, look, I don't want the baby, and you like, I'm having this baby because I want a baby. And you don't have to be in the baby's life. I don't care. I can do this by myself. And then after the baby's born, she's like, no, you ain't doing nothing for the baby. He's like, well, I didn't want the baby in the first place. 1. Or 2, he might be like, you told me that I couldn't even do anything for the baby. So now.
Or you told me on birth control. One of those.
Or, yeah, I mean, what do
Oldest trick in the
they,
book.
what do they call those?
Sometimes people don't ask if you're on birth control; they just assume.
Because they see.
Well,
How many times have you, before you've been
You
intimate
look
with
like
somebody,
you
you
on
just
birth-
ask, "Are you on birth control?" Like most times, people don't have that conversation prior. It
Well,
just
they're
be
not
like,
having any conversations.
yeah,
prior.
Yeah, there's no
there's no
conversations.
conversation.
There's
Like there's
definitely-
like
that's-
there's some kind of attraction, or I'm bored, or
Drunk.
something. Yeah,
high,
yeah,
All of that.
drunk and high,
yeah.
Molly
my
Percocet.
plan,
Chill out.
my plans canceled. Whatever the case, this other person's not answering the phone, and you the next. Like there's so many different ways.
I've even
So-
heard scenarios
Netflix
where
and
men wanted the baby and a woman refused to have it, and she kept getting abortions.
I met a dude that was
What
in
about that?
Heard of
situation. I know I have. I actually met a dude who was going through a real tough time because of that, because his girl aborted the baby they were about to have, and I could definitely see where he was just very helpless. He just felt so helpless. Like same thing. Obviously, this isn't the majority of abortions that happen, but he definitely felt in a situation where he was like, we did the do, and a baby came out of that situation, and it might have even been his girlfriend or whatever, but she said she wasn't ready to have a kid, so she went and got abortion, and he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah,
And
I've heard about that too.
It's tough.
that's something that happens too, where the choice and all that stuff comes into play, where you're like, yo, I mean, I get it, but there's two people in this scenario, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, it takes 2 to tango. Oh, the guy needs to do this and that, but it's like at the same time, certain things, for good reason, are catered to make sure that women, just like if I have a baby with somebody in California or get married in California and are split up, shoot, you about to leave with, she can have, you know what I'm saying? Like, because people come out here and get split up, and certain things lean towards the favor of women. Like most dudes, if you get split up, you're not going to get your kids, most likely. Most likely the child is going to go with the woman. And once again, that's for pretty good reason, because most likely mothers have a better track record, probably, or whatever the court sees it, but they're more maternal. They have a better track record of probably keeping better care of the kids and better providers in a sense. So, and then they just make sure that men, if they can provide more, that they financially provide. But yeah, certain things just lean towards women, and for good reason. Like I said, because the vast majority of times, women are the ones that kind of falling victim to being left by the man or being abandoned, all those things. But there are times where men would like to step up, and there's roadblocks that come about, what we were talking about before the break, which is, men that might want to be in a child's life, but the woman is leveraging the child by saying we need to have this relationship, or the man is in another relationship and it's about, hey, what is, what happened to us or whatever, and then it
Or
becomes
you
this
even
thing.
have those scenarios of women who just want. I'm hearing this more often, and I know even Portia on Housewives of Atlanta, but more women who are just like, I want a baby. It doesn't matter who, the father is. I just want a baby.
Yeah.
And that is another result of essentially a broken home because, or people going to those sperm banks, if you will, and they may not be an actual man that they've made the agreement, but I mean that's another part of it. Like the again, I think it's all mental health, but the mental state to really be like, if you really think about it as a woman, because I'm not even gonna lie with you, sometimes you have those thoughts like as you get older, you know what I mean, you're like, no kids, right? Well, I'm married, so I mean now it's different, but you know what I mean, like you're getting older and you're like, man, okay, well maybe if marriage is not gonna happen, it's like, but I still want a family, I still want children, like I want to still be able to have my baby, and if he's there, he's there, if he ain't, whatever. You know what I mean? You think about those things. But at the end of the day, if you really think about the mental health of that, like, or the breakdown, like, I'm willing to have a child, right? Essentially without anybody else to be a part of it.
And secretly,
And
even you're hoping that he's still gonna be there. personally.
But even somebody who may be thinking that I really don't want the man there, but you aren't even allowing another person to really even be a part of that. It's like, look, if I came to you with the proposition that I just want you to father my child, right? Then I'm putting you in a position to give birth to a child that you're just giving away. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So mentally, if we believe as women that that's okay, then we've already signed up and agreed to the idea that a man doesn't even really need to be there. And that's embedded, you know what I mean, especially in our culture, because a lot of women are just kind of like,
I don't need
a
man.
I don't need you. I can do it with you. I can do it without you. When honestly, that's not the truth.
It's not.
It's not the truth.
No, because a child needs both parents. It needs that balance. Like sometimes the baby needs that
Somebody's looking for
protection,
their shout out.
I know.
that protection
Shout out.
from the father, but then sometimes need that nurturing from the mother. And sometimes the child needs both all at once. And so I have come across people who they just want a baby. Many times that comes from they've either had abortions in the past or like there's been a miscarriage or something has happened to where it's like now they just have this craving for this baby because they're guilty or they feel bad or that part of them is just aching. And so then they just have this idea like, well, I just want a family or I just want a baby. And then they get the baby and they realize they want a family. And it's just like, well, you asked for a baby, so you really got what you asked for.
Right.
And now you're asking for something else. You need to be sure about what exactly, what it is exactly. Yeah, because it will actually be just that. Like, you got your baby. What are you going to do? Like you need to understand. I don't know. I don't know. I know somebody who she just, she wants a baby, but it's like, that's it.
Right.
And she'll be perfectly fine with that.
It's not uncommon.
She'll be
I've heard
perfectly
it.
fine with that. And
Well, she'll say that until you get it. And then
I mean, you never know. I mean,
don't till it
because
happens.
a lot of people are raised by single mothers. So it's just like that mindset, well, if my mom did it, then I can do it.
Yeah,
and
but it's different.
then
It's different
and then
from being
even when
raised by a single mother and then raising a child as a single mother.
And then it's even different. I mean, it's just even more evident that a child would need both that male and female energy because even if the father is not around for whatever reason, that mother is now looking for another partner at times or has to have some kind of uncle or somebody around. And if there's nobody around, then that's their disconnect.
When you're looking for a new mate, like you were saying, now it's like, you say, for instance, you don't have a child, but then when you're looking for a new mate, and now, you go from maybe no children to he might have a child. So now you become like a mixed family possibly, and you might have to make sure that you got somebody that's on board with mixing families
Right.
together, because he might just want to start a whole new thing from scratch. And so, that plays a part, because ultimately I don't think people say they might want to they might be willing to raise a kid by themselves, but I don't think people really want that. They probably just feel like that's the options that they kind of have, the better of the options that
They
they
just
have.
know it'd be.
you know?
It seemed stressful. They seen how stressful it was for someone else to have to go through. Like, you have to go through this person. Like, if you want to make a decision when it comes to this, and it's just like, I just want to be in control, and I just want to.
You want to control the situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, even as a woman, with a child yourself, like, that ain't the way to go. You do not want to have to be, for one, you're hindering the growth of the kid by a woman. Any woman that, I would say this, that feels that a man, especially raising a young boy or a girl in general, any child that you're raising, they need both parents, because the woman is a woman, and she's gonna teach her things that she learned to be a woman and how she wants to raise her daughter. And then a man is going to teach the daughter and the son. They're both going to teach them different things. They're going to scold them differently. Like when I scold my daughter, it's different when daddy says it than mommy says it, and just vice versa with my son. And it's that yin and yang. So I would just say it's a little bit of that good cop, bad cops kind of thing. And you need that. And a kid needs, it takes a village. So all that to say that, saying you don't need you can do it by yourself. Yeah, you can, and not saying that if that's the situation you're in, then you won't be able to raise a successful kid. But I'm saying if you have a father that wants to be in the life of the kid or whatever, you got to put all the pride aside. You got to put all the feelings, and if he's a good, solid father, forget about the whole relationship not working or whatever, just that kids need their father, kids need their mother, and that's what I'll say about it.
I agree. Akila? Trinae?
Well, I agree with I didn't even write down the person's name, but
Shay
there's
Hammond says, I don't know how to say their name. But anyway, Shay says that it's about the situation. She talks about the subject. She says, "Oh Lord, y'all on this subject. It's really about the situation." So I guess I said the subject line that I had in my Facebook was question. Should father, what was the question we had? Father,
I don't know what you put on your Facebook.
we had the question in the beginning after the break. It was should fathers be forced to?
Is forced fatherhood fair?
Forced fatherhood. So that's her response to forced fatherhood being fair. She's saying it depends on the situation.
Well, I will say this, because these aren't my words, but I agree with it. There's an order to life. God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. And when the order is broken or violated, you have hell on earth.
Yeah. That's true.
And confusion. And that's really what we're dealing with. You know what I mean?
Checkmate.
And the thing about it is that we've all, well, I'm just going to assume, but we've all made, a step out of this order at some point or another. And then we sometimes get mad at how things play out. You get what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's like when you get back in line or you get things back in order, and you don't even have to necessarily be a believer in this, like of what I believe, but there's always some sort of order to something. And whether you believe in God, Jesus, anything else, when you're kind of out of that particular order. We have like natural instincts of knowing like this may be a good situation to go into. It's probably not a good situation, or guess what? I don't even really care. YOLO. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You don't live forever. One life. I don't know what the other sayings are, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, turn up. Let's make this happen. And honestly, those are the results of when you're not thinking about some certain things, when you're being carefree. Those are results. And unfortunately, it's not like it's gonna stop, right? You know, families will continue to be broken probably in our lifetime. But the idea is that if maybe we stem from a broken family, like, for example, I grew up with, and my parents are still together and still married, but they came from broken homes. So their decision was, we're going to make this work. We're going to, they had children after they got married. They took some time to get to know one another and like build. And I know that's one of the things that for sure me and my husband are trying to do is we want to be able to build together first, before we bring children in, so that we don't get to this point where we're like frustrated, irritated, mad, and we want to leave. You know what I mean? And now, our unborn children suffer. You know what I mean? So there's no perfect situation, and there's not like
I just say I should start going for it now.
No, you and the rest of the world. But
Why not?
no.
What do you got to lose?
What do I have to lose? I want to be ready for a child. I literally want to
I don't
be
think you ever be ready.
I was
Though.
about to say, do you
I
think
get
you'll
that.
ever fully
I
be
get
ready?
that, but
You
I
ain't
get
gonna
what
be
you're
ready.
saying, and I agree.
I
like
don't
diving off
want
the deep end of the
to
pool.
prematurely jump into
How is it
something
premature when y'all
because
married?
well, we're married, yes, but see, that's just
That's
the
a whole nother
assumption
thing.
that just because you're married now, that now all of a sudden you're ready. No, I'm still trying to get ready for
Well,
marriage, and
that's-
I'm in it, right?
You still
I mean, I get what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. But as far as being ready for a child, I don't think it'd ever be like completely like
yeah, it
ready
ain't gonna be
because
like, oh,
for me,
today
like-
today is a day you're gonna be ready.
like yeah.
No, but
Because
you can
when
definitely be prepared and
Kind
As
of.
far
when I
as
say
what?
ready, I mean that if a child comes, it's not going to be one of those situations like, oh my God.
You never know because
It's gonna be that
What
way.
am I-
I don't
what am I
care.
doing?
I don't care if you had $1 million. I don't care if you had $1 million right
No,
now.
I ain't got to explain nothing to nobody.
when I was pregnant,
I don't gotta
the
explain
stages that your mind goes
gonna
through, it's
be
like,
a-
okay,
oh my
there's a
God.
baby, and you're like, dang, did I accomplish everything? Did I finish this? Did I do that? Dang,
feel that
like
way.
you go through all these different
So
stages,
those
and
are
then
your
9
thoughts
months
with the
come.
baby in you. What about my thoughts with the baby not in me?
But what I'm saying is, it's still it's not gonna
It's not gonna
stop.
change.
It's gonna still be
Look,
there.
you know
no
how you
matter
going
how
up the
ready.
You know how you going up the roller
Because
coaster
it's
and
me.
it's like, oh no,
This is
you
so
know
it's
weird.
about to
Did I
drop, but
dream?
you
I feel
still
like I
like-
dreamed this.
Yeah, it's
You
go-
probably
you
did,
going
'cause
up
it
the
does
roller
not
coaster,
matter.
And
It
then you
does
like,
not
look,
matter.
I'm not ready for the roller coaster to go
can be-
down. And then
you
it's
can
like,
have some money,
yeah,
you
you're not
know.
gonna be prepared. You're not
You can
gonna
be prepared financially, but mentally, it's a mental thing. Even giving birth, it's a mental thing.
I believe it.
It's a whole mental thing.
I commend every mother, every
Shout out.
father,
Shout out.
every mother and father, every husband and wife, anybody who was able to fully commit to a relationship and a child, or even just raising a child and being there. Like, I commend them because I think about. And I know that we're ending soon, but
In-laws.
and I didn't even say that they had to birth it, but you get what I'm saying, that making that commitment,
Yeah.
but I think about what it takes to get me up every day and get myself ready and do all that stuff, and then to insert baby. You know what I'm saying? Crying, spitting up,
Man.
yelling.
I see my mom
Get up
twins
earlier.
ready in the morning.
You know what I
Get
mean?
up early.
My mom is getting twins
what I
ready in the
hear
morning, y'all.
from parents
Like-
all the time is them trying to,
Look.
I got away from the baby for the weekend. Like, somebody come get
My
these
mom will
kids.
send her babies off real fast.
Look.
I got twin
Exactly.
baby brothers who are 4 and getting
Exactly.
them ready
There
in the
it
morning.
is.
I hear them
Parents
from across.
constantly
Brush your
trying
teeth.
to-
Okay, no, you put on. Okay, no, you.
Constantly
I'm like,
trying to get
I'm
rid of the
stressed out
kids.
listening to her.
But then they say this.
Mm-mm.
Oh, but it's the most precious, beautiful
Yes,
thing that's
it
ever
does go
happened
to
in my
that.
life. Oh, you getting on my nerves.
Yes,
Somebody
it
come-
does.
She'd be like,
It
take them
does.
babies, and then she'd
Hey.
be like, don't talk to my baby like that though.
There's
'Cause
good.
it's like
There's
that.
good. It's a yin and yang in
Look,
life.
you gotta
It's
figure it
like
out.
that.
It's a
Okay,
yin
figure
yang
look.
life.
do.
Look,
My baby. Oh yeah, you do.
look, they're gonna
And they
get on
always
your
want to do
nerves.
something when you trying to leave. Like
gonna
maybe
get on your
maybe this is
nerves.
too much, but like I'll be trying to leave out the door and my baby will like I'm getting ready to change her diaper, she'll poop on the floor. So now I got to clean up poop and I've got to go to a meeting.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
I don't
Like,
have
You
time
need to
How
be
did she
prepared
get
for
that
poop
right
on
now.
the
Nah.
But
floor?
what I'm saying is that
Where's
will
her
you
diaper?
ever have?
My baby brother loves to
No,
take
I had
his
just
diaper
took it
off.
off at that.
But my baby brother will take
sometimes
his
they
off.
just take it
And he'll
off.
walk around
Why-
like,
why
I'm
the
like,
baby ain't
bro,
got
no,
no
this is
diaper
not a
on?
smiling moment. He'll be-
No, because I was getting ready to give her a bath or just finished giving her a bath.
Yeah.
So she didn't have a diaper on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me take you upstairs. As soon as I go upstairs, she poops. Why are you
Look,
pooping
the
on
next
the floor?
adventure in the in the Keela Trinae Chronicles will be the little one of the next generation. And you know,
I think people put
Yeah.
pressure on people who marry to get
good.
babies right away.
Absolutely good. Pressure.
No.
Pressure builds diamonds too, just so you know.
But
She
let
gonna
me
have a
tell
baby
y'all,
I
peer
encourage
pressure
you.
does nothing for me.
Yeah, I
Pressure-
encourage you
pressure
to,
creates
to,
diamonds.
to digest what marriage
She gonna be
really
sitting
means
back
to
all
you.
calm and all of a sudden
Right?
it's
Yeah.
just gonna
Right?
hit her.
Because
But
it
it
means
also
different
bursts-
things
it
to
also
different
bursts
people.
pipes.
So I encourage you to do that. But a baby is
growth.
a beautiful blessing, and it comes.
I believe it because I was a baby. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so dead.
But
Wow.
yeah, it takes pressure to create diamonds. Just so you know that.
I think at the end of the day, the goal is to always make good or make right on a situation that could have been bad. You know what I mean? Like, there's always an opportunity to turn it around in that sense. You know what I mean? That's what I feel.
Final thoughts.
You have something coming up?
Yes. Okay. With all this talk of divided households, and regardless, I am putting together an event called Dear Woman. The theme is Honor Yourself. So it'll be an unforgettable experience where women can come out and enjoy themselves, engage in spiritual healing workshops, engage with a guest speaker and massages, and it just be so nice, and food because I like to eat. So that is June 10th,
Food,
Saturday.
massages.
June 10th, Saturday.
June 10th. You can purchase your tickets at Dear Woman.
Black people always trying to charge. Why can't it be free? No, I'm just
Because
kidding.
I got Dear Woman honoryourself.eventbrite.com. So it's wonderful, and
Do you have a flyer for it? You
I
have to
do.
send
I'm
us a
going to send
flyer.
it to you.
Okay.
But you better get your tickets this week because price is going up next
Wait,
week.
how much are they?
Tickets are originally $30, but this week it is $25 or $45 for 2 tickets. So I think that's an awesome deal to come to an event where it's a speaker, healing, raffles. You better come, and you better spend that $25
Wait, and where
before
is
it go
it?
up. It is in LA off of 91st and Western.
So it's just at somebody's house?
No, I have a studio. It's like it's gonna be inside and outside in the backyard, but
that's
it's a studio space.
You can't just be throwing out streets like that and not telling the name of the venue.
Studio
Because people like
9110.
91st and Western.
Studio 9110.
I like that.
I wasn't really disclosing that.
Oh,
yet, y'all.
okay. Well, you could have told me.
I
it's
wasn't
private.
disclosing that. But no, seriously, just come out. I think it'll be really healing, and it'll be super awesome just for women to come back and begin honoring themselves and getting back to remembering who we are and the beauty of everything, so that we can make more time for others when we make time for ourselves first. So yay, I'm excited.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
June 10th.
Saturday,
What
June
time?
10th, 6:30 to 9.
Oh, it's in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 6:30 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are
25 right now.
Tickets
And
are
2 for 45.
I'm
Yes.
giving the-
See?
I'm giving the
25.
Next
additional
week,
price.
and next
Or
week is
2 for
$30
$45.
or 2 for $50. So I think
okay.
that's such an awesome. I think it's an awesome experience, and
So basically,
Really
bring a
great.
friend.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Tell
Bring a
friend
friend
to
and
tell
bring
a
you
a
would
friend.
want
friend.
to, because if you heal it with your friend, now you have people to hold you accountable. Now you're putting positive energy around you, and we all need positive energy.
Absolutely.
So, On that note, I do want to say my famous line. Dang, I'm cut off. When a woman stops loving herself, the world is led to destruction. So once we are, as women, we remember the power that we have, then we have the power to eliminate the divided households. We have the power to, not hurt other women. We have the power to not manipulate men, and just build that communication, that connection, and just be mindful of the decisions that we make. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Cold nights, how it get you when you least expect it.